Armin, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello, I hope you stick around. Don't forget to hit subscribe down below, as well as the notification bell so you can be told when I make a new video. Today, I'm going to hate on everyone's faves because I'm doing the anti-tbr tag, which I know came out like last year. I'm very late to the game. I don't even know if I've been tagged. I don't even know who I'm going to tag because everybody's already done this tag, but we can deal with that later. Don't worry about it. I'm just doing it because it's fun and I want to hate on everyone's faves. I will link the original video down below, so definitely check that out if you haven't already, but without further ado, I'm just gonna get started. So the first prompt is a popular book everyone loves that you have no interest in reading. For this one, I'm gonna go with The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Don't get me wrong, I was somewhat interested in this when it first came out because I was in that, like, I have to read all of the new books that everyone's talking about phase, but I haven't read it, and the longer I leave it, the less interested I get because I keep seeing reviews where it's basically this white girl who nobody remembers for her entire extended life because she was dumb and made a deal with the devil, and then finally someone remembers her, and I wonder what's gonna happen. Apparently it's very character driven, and like there's a small part of me that wants to know why everyone loves it. Like a very small part of me feels like I might get some good quotes out of that book, but I can't be bothered to read it right now. I don't own it. I don't really want to go to the library right now. I have no pressing reasons to read it other than it has a really nice cover and everybody and their moms was absolutely obsessed with it when it came out. But I think I might just leave it for a little while. Like if I'm still interested in several months down the line and I have time, maybe I'll pick it up. So I'm not gonna say any book in this video is like an absolute no, but that's where I'm at right now. The second prompt is a classic book or author that you don't have any interest in reading. Sorry Connor, but I'm gonna have to go with Jane Eyre just because I don't know a lot of classics. Like I have the ones that I've read for school. I kind of hated them while I was reading them, and then after like 5 years I'm like, you know, that had some meaning. Maybe I got something out of that. But I just don't read classics that often and I couldn't think of any, and Jane Eyre just doesn't sound like it's very interesting. Maybe I'll read it because one of my friends really loves it, but other than that, I probably wouldn't pick it up. I could name like 5 other classics for this, but I just wanted to pick one that was somewhat well known because like, I don't know, I feel like classics are not the biggest talked about thing on BookTube anyway, so yeah, that's my pick, I guess. Question 3 is an author whose books you have no interest in reading. For this one, I picked Marissa Meyer. I don't have anything against Marissa Meyer. I've just never read one of her books, and I don't know if I ever will. I know some of her books are really popular, but I know the only series that I would even be mildly interested in reading is the one that is a retelling of Cinderella. What's it called? The Lunar Chronicles. Yes, I know some of my friends really love the Lunar Chronicles. I'm sorry, Lisa. I don't read a lot of retellings, and when I do, it's usually like a one particular story that I'll read like over and over again. But Cinderella retellings are just not really up there on my list, so I don't know if I'll ever get to it. And I also know that her like Renegades series, whatever, doesn't really, like superhero stuff isn't the most interesting to me either. So nothing against Marissa Meyer. Maybe one day I'll pick up one of her books, but at the moment I don't really care. Question 3.2 is one that you can combine if you're doing this tag, or you can do them separately. So question 3.2 is a problematic author whose books you have no interest in reading. For this one, I have a couple different ones. First of all, Rainbow Rowell. I know that Rainbow Rowell's books are like BookTube babies. Like everybody loves them, and honestly, I read Eleanor and Park like years ago, and it didn't really do it for me. Like I didn't really have any issue with it at the time. It was just kind of boring, and my friend was really upset that I didn't like it as much as she did, but like, I'm sorry, average Asian representation is not enough to make me love this boring high school romance. And then a few years later, I wasn't surprised to hear how problematic it actually was, and now that I'm a student of Asian American Studies, I see the issues, I see them, and I don't like them. Basically, perpetuation of stereotypes is bad, even if the stereotype is seemingly good, hence the model minority stereotype still being harmful for Asian Americans, despite everybody thinking that it's not. I'm not about to go on my soapbox here, but basically the book has issues, the author is problematic, and we're not gonna read her on this channel, so. Second author is Stephen King. I don't actually know what he did, I just know that apparently he's problematic, but I also don't read horror, so I'm just not gonna read any Stephen King. I know a lot of people really love his books and he's like the horror writer, but no thanks. Question 4 is an author you have read a couple books from and have decided their books are not for you. Not a couple books, I've only read one book by this author, and I know we don't do that, like you don't just read one book and give up apparently, but Sylvia Moreno Garcia, I hated Mexican Gothic. I know that some people really, really love her books, but her writing just didn't do it for me. I just really hated that book. And I'm not like hating on any POC authors. I'm not here to say like she's a bad author. I'm just saying I didn't like her writing, and I don't know if I'm ever gonna read another book by this author because I have a lot of other books on my TBR, and if I don't like one of her books, I'm less likely to read another one of her books. Prompt 5 is a genre you have no interest in or a genre you tried to get into and couldn't. First of all, straight up YA romance. I cannot do the regular high school romances with no plot other than the high school romance. Like, it is the most boring thing in the world for me, especially now that I'm out of high school. I just cannot be bothered. Like, there may have been a time when those like rom-coms and like romance books were fun for me to read, but at this point I'm like, these kids are literally like 15 and they think that their world is ending, and then like all of these very small issues become really big, and I know that's just teenagers, but I just can't do it. It's just there's no plot, and I'm very much a plot person. Usually the characters are not very memorable. There's typical high school teens. Now I will make exceptions for like diverse stories. So if it's a story about like a marginalized group, like a teen from a marginalized group experiencing these things that are typically like that they're not included in or written about, I will probably read it and give it a try, because like representation is important no matter if I hate the genre or not. So like that's the exception, it's not the rule. Usually straight up YA romance, like I will not just read it unless it's fantasy. I just can't do it. Next is horror. Like I don't really read horror, I don't really watch horror, but I would prefer watching horror over reading it, because horror is only as scary as you can imagine it to be, and whenever somebody else imagines it really scary and puts it on the screen, like I can watch it, but I get terrified. So like reading it, it's left up to my imagination, which means it either is like not scary at all or it's too scary. So just don't do that. Prompt 6 is a book you have bought but will never read, which can be a book you have unhauled / returned to the library unread. I'm gonna give 2 different answers for this. First of all is Go Set a Watchman by, what was it by? Harper Lee. By Harper Lee, which is apparently like a companion / sequel to Kill a Mockingbird, which I don't know why I bought this book, because I've never read To Kill a Mockingbird, so I don't know what I was thinking like 3 years ago, but I have this book. I'm never gonna read it, most likely never gonna read it, because yeah, I don't know. It looks nice on my shelf, which is the only reason I've kept it so far, but that can't be the only reason I keep books. I think I have a slight problem, but one day I'll probably get rid of it. The second book is not one I'm never going to read. I'm not going to make that declaration because I really want to read this book again. I want to give it another try, and I was very torn up about DNFing it, but it's a book I got from the library, and then I DNF'd and I returned it. And that is We Hunt the Flame. Don't hate on me, please. I'm not over here hating on this author. I know I probably said some questionable things in old videos when I first DNF'd it, because I like wanted a reason for why I didn't like it, and it was just really slow to get into at first. But honestly, I think it was just a wrong book at the wrong time. Like I was reading 2 other books at the same time, and they were just more interesting at that point, because I know it's a bit of a slow start, and I just, again, I wasn't really into YA fantasy at that point in time. So I'm gonna try it again because I like to support my fellow POC Muslim authors, but I couldn't read it at that time. Prompt 7 is a series you have no interest in reading or a series you have started and DNF'd. I'm just gonna expose myself here and say The Lord of the Rings. Hey, I read The Hobbit and the first 2 books. I just never read the 3rd book, because right before I read the 3rd book, or rather didn't read the 3rd book, my friend, my cousin, and I just like binged the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy, the movies, so I just didn't bother reading the very detailed books. I read the first 3. I didn't read the last actual Lord of the Rings book, and at this point I don't think I'm ever gonna do it, because to do that I would have to reread the entire series, and that is very detailed, very long. I can never get the names and the places and the plot lines straight in my head. Like honestly, reading high fantasy is an ordeal. You have to like fully focus your attention on it, and I know there's some like diehard Lord of the Rings stans out there, but I'm sorry, like I enjoy it. If somebody wanted to watch the movie, like I would watch it. I love that. But like the books, I can't do it. They're too much. Like I did them and I did them then, and I can't do them now. And finally, a new release that you have no interest in reading, and just because it just came out, I'm gonna use this. I had a different one written down, and then this book came out and everybody was raving about it, and I'm sorry, but I am never gonna read A Court of Silver Flames. As of me saying this right now, I'm not making any promises. But I've never read A Court of Thorns and Roses. I know everybody is like, Court of Thorns and Roses, because like it's like booktube favorite, but if if I ever read it, it would be ironically, and I'm not invested in it. I literally don't care, and I've never read it. So book 4 in this series, apparently it's book 4, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm probably just never gonna read it. I'm never gonna get around to it, and if I do, it'll be because I picked up the series ironically. If 10 years down the line I end up reading this, that'll be then, and I will say I was wrong, but for now, I'm not reading that. Anyways, that is all of the favorites I have to hate on today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up anyway. Let me know down below what you thought and what you thought of these books if you have read them. If you think I should read them for whatever reason, tell me down below. Also, don't forget to hit subscribe so you can be told when I make a new video, because hopefully I will be posting new content very soon. Thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye.